meeting anybody else. But there's some more breaking news. On the Sri Lanka terror attack, the NIA has joined the investigation. Not just that, NIA is following leads that have been shared by Sri Lankan authorities. Now, the NIA is probing these leads, which have already been officially shared with the Sri Lankan authorities. Now, we're being told, and Shawan is getting us these details, that key conspirator Zahran Hashim traveled to South India and he spent some considerable amount of time in India. Now, all of these are details that we're picking up, and we're also getting details of how the NIA is assisting the Sri Lankan government and the investigating agencies in Sri Lanka in the investigation that's on. In the next 8 days, we're told the National Investigation Agency will stay put in Sri Lanka, and we'll go across to Shawan as well, joining us with the latest details. Shawan, give us details of the key conspirator. We're given to understand Zahran Hashim traveled to South India. You're picking up more details of the kind of role that he played and the India angle that's emerging. The Zakir Naik angle is also emerging now.
Well, in fact, Niranjan, this entire India link that we are essentially talking about, India was the first one to actually give this particular input that there could be a possible attack in Sri Lanka. In fact, the Indian embassy was also one of the targets. This was when the National Investigation Agency was looking into the ISIS Coimbatore as well as the ISIS Kannur module. The investigation that was being carried out, in fact, after the charge sheet that was being filed in the ISIS Coimbatore case, we're given to understand that the details regarding the key conspirator of the Sri Lankan bombing, Zahran Hashim, was basically found by the National Investigation Agency. That's when the National Investigation Agency had given those details to RAW, which was thereafterwards forwarded to the Sri Lankan authorities. Now, talking about the recent development, Niranjan, as we speak right now, there is a team from the National Investigation Agency which is camping in Sri Lanka. Remember, there are 8 other countries who are also basically assisting the Sri Lankan authorities. It's important to point out here because there have been certain information that has already been handed out by the Sri Lankan authorities to the National Investigation Agency, which essentially includes that key conspirator of the Sri Lankan bombing is Zahran Hashim, was actually in India for a while. He was in fact in South India, is what Sri Lankan authorities claim at this stage. However, having said that, National Investigation Agency maintains that this is going to require some amount of investigation, and only then can they come to this entire conclusion that the key conspirator of Sri Lankan bombing was actually in India for a while. As far as training is concerned, important to point out here is that when the NIA was probing the ISIS Coimbatore case, they came across certain videos of key conspirator Zahran Hashim in the items that were basically seized by the National Investigation Agency. That's when they actually got some details that perhaps Hashim was trying to recruit few people in Tamil Nadu as well as Kerala. So these are certain details that are essentially emerging at this point in time. Clearly there is an India link, and that is the reason why you have the NIA team right now camping in Sri Lanka. We're given to understand perhaps another couple of days that they would be staying there, gathering as much information as required, because the 2 important ISIS cases, the ISIS Coimbatore, the ISIS Tamil Nadu case as well as ISIS Kerala is something that the National Investigation Agency is closely looking into. In fact, over the last couple of weeks, we're given to understand associates of all these accused in this particular case have already been questioned by the National Investigation Agency. So in the days to come up, you would certainly see some concrete development actually taking place as far as the ISIS modules are concerned.
But you were talking about the Coimbatore and the Kannur angle. The Coimbatore and the Kannur angle, that's the India, the Kerala angle that's now emerging, and that several ISIS suspects who have been in the last few weeks arrested by our agencies in India have also been questioned. Is that correct in the last few weeks post the Sri Lanka attacks? Shawan.
Well, in fact, right from the time the bombings actually took place, we're given to understand that National Investigation Agency is closely looking into both these modules down south. In fact, we're being told that associates of all the accused have already been questioned by the National Investigation Agency. There have been certain searches and raids that have been carried out specifically in Tamil Nadu as well as Kerala. However, having said that, the National Investigation Agency is completely tight-lipped because they're saying that once the team returns from Sri Lanka, perhaps they would be able to join the dots, and only then they would be in a position to give us a coherent picture as far as these cases are concerned. Clearly, they're looking at the India link here because it certainly appears at this stage that you have the key conspirator who's actually traveled to South India, and we are given to understand that perhaps he spent a considerable amount of time in South India. Where exactly in South India, there's still no clarity on that part. Apart from that, we are being also told that in fact there was an attempt that was basically being made by Zahran Hashim to actually recruit certain youths, because the videos that have been accessed by the National Investigation Agency clearly indicates that there was a strong attempt made by Hashim to basically recruit youth from India, Bangladesh as well as Sri Lanka. So you're looking at a South Asian leader of the ISIS essentially emerging, who was camping in Sri Lanka for a while. In fact, we are given to understand that he successfully managed to get at least 8 of the suicide bombers together to carry out this dastardly attack. So not just Sri Lanka, we are given to understand that possible targets would have also been down south, is what something that has been a grave concern for the National Investigation Agency also.
Yeah, now for the first time, Zakir Naik's name is also emerging. I think Zakir Naik was also mentioned by the Sri Lankan government. There's a crackdown on Peace TV. But I think, Shravan, what you're telling us is also important, because the Zakir Naik angle becomes even more critical now. The fact that one of the terrorists' father had named Zakir Naik in that complaint.